Mental health, information for school staff and educators. How to help children, teens, and others. This webinar was created in response to changes to Education Law 2801A. It provides you with a snapshot of mental health, beginning with what is meant as a definition of mental health, the prevalence of mental health disorders, and signs and symptoms of mental health challenges are detailed. What actions educators and school staff can take to be helpful is also addressed. School personnel who learn to identify early signs of mental health challenges are in unique and valuable positions to initiate assistance and intervention that could have lifelong positive results. Research now teaches us that early detection and intervention not only greatly enhances academic success, but also reduces the risk of substance abuse disorders, criminal activity involvement, and suicide. This slide summarizes the changes to Education Law 2801A, now in effect, and addresses the mandate for all district and school staff. Please take a moment to read and review. The last bullet contains the direct link to the law.
So, what is mental health? Our social state, how satisfied and how happy we are in our social relationships and social activities. Our emotional state refers to our full range of feelings. Do we have balance? Psychological state. This refers to our thoughts, our perceptions, which of course affects our feelings. How do we view our world, our lives, our careers? All three of these states, always operating, affects the degree of mental wellness we have. Our mental health status, on a continuum from not well to very well, greatly influences our physical health, including our capacity to address our physical health in terms of preventative care or care for an illness. Our mental health affects the quality of our social interactions with others, in turn affecting how often we are engaging in relationships that are supportive or not so. Lastly, our ability to follow through and stay on task with school and work responsibilities contributes to our success in society. Our mental health, again, plays a significant role. So, what is good mental health? What do we mean by emotional balance? Defined by each person individually, what it does not mean is that we are never feeling frustration or deep feelings of loss and disappointment. Emotional balance can be defined as not staying in either end of the emotional spectrum, but having the capacity to regularly find a degree of balance. Living fully and what that means is also specifically defined by each person, for him or herself. The flexibility referred to here is defined as the ability to move beyond a difficult level of feeling to a new or changed place that allows one to be able to face the next challenge. The process involved in this is also unique to each person.
So, why the importance? We now know that the degree of mental health wellness we have affects our life value in so many ways. Now let's learn about mental health challenges. They are common. We are more apt to interface with somebody who is developing a mental health disorder than somebody with any physical health condition. The truth is that mental health problems are more common than heart disease, lung disease, and cancer combined. More importantly, the onset of symptoms of disorders begin to appear during school-aged years. We now know that early detection and intervention greatly reduces the negative consequences that mental health disorders have historically created. Numerous long-range problems also occur. These are problems associated with one's ability to form positive social relationships, take on career and other role responsibilities, and attend to one's physical health. The more immediate consequences of academic failures and school detachment are more commonly known. As seen by these figures, mental health conditions are very common in our country and not specific to any age group. Approximately 1 of every 5 children, youth, and adults currently experience some degree of mental health challenges. These are our family members, our friends, our neighbors, our students, our colleagues, and ourselves. The most common disorders with youth are depression and anxiety. During this 2015 study, 2/3 of the teens that experienced a period of depression reported that their episode of depression impaired their daily functioning. Anxiety prevalence with 12 to 17-year-olds was also noted in the same 2015 study. Anxiety is now the most prevalent mental health disorder with youth, surpassing depression for the first time in decades. Important to note that experts believe the prevalence data may be low because individuals often do not seek help for anxiety and depression. Furthermore, experts report anxiety and depression are on a steady rise since 2012. Age of onset refers to the age of the first appearance of symptoms. As one can see, the data reflecting the age of onset for anxiety specifically is early school years. Median is defined as middle, meaning half of the data is above the middle number and half is below. For this example, half of the youth who experience anxiety have symptoms before age 11, and half of them begin having symptoms at age 11 or later. We know that drug and alcohol use during adolescence, the high brain development years, leads to a faster addiction rate. 7 out of 10 of the youth with criminal activity convictions have mental health disorders. Most likely, many of these conditions were not detected when they first appeared, and therefore not treated. We can influence change here. Remember that median means half above and half below. Most people don't seek help for anxiety and depression. Why do we think that is? Well, we lack education about mental health disorders. So, when one of us begins to experience symptoms, we may not know why or what they represent, so we certainly don't know what to do about them. Shame and embarrassment, the fear of others' reactions, stigma, and limited access to resources are additional reasons. Let's remember, most mental health disorders begin during school years, when early intervention can be the most influential. With school personnel noticing symptoms and taking action, they can be the force that leads to early detection and intervention. As noted in an earlier slide, 90% of those who die by suicide had a known mental health disorder. Suicide is a leading public health problem in our country, with suicide now jumping to the second leading cause of death for 15 to 34-year-olds. Since 2014, it's the 10th leading cause of death for all ages combined. Since 2012, the number of distressed young people has been on the rise. It is reported that they feel more fragile, less resilient, more overwhelmed. Young people today are post 9/11 youth. They're exposed to terrorism threats and events, school shootings, technology leaps, and the tremendous impact of social media. One youth interviewed expressed, "We are always under pressure." With rising suicide rates, suicide risk is more common. Referred to earlier in this presentation, please note that Education Law 2801A directs schools to have policies in place to address self-harm, including suicide threats. This slide represents New York State in 2016. Experts believe that there are 5 to 25% more suicides than those that are reported or determined to be suicides. This is often a surprising fact for many. Let's repeat. We now know there is a long delay, often several years, before someone seeks help for mental health-related symptoms. Why? The main 3 reasons are noted here. We, as a society, do not consistently receive or promote education about mental health. We often are not knowledgeable about our own or others' symptoms as they appear. People may judge individuals as being lazy, unmotivated, a slacker, weak, or even dangerous, as well as placing the blame on bad parenting when we're referring to young children. Societal stigma refers to all the negative messages we see and hear about individuals with mental health disorders. Misunderstanding, myths, and resulting fear is much more prevalent than realistic views, understanding, and compassion. Societal stigma results in personal stigma, where one takes on an identity of being defective. For example, thoughts like, "I'm a failure, it's all my fault, no one loves me, I'm worthless, nothing good happens to me," are not uncommon for those with depression. Stigma impact is sometimes subtle, resulting in people pulling away from or completely avoiding those who are developing mental health conditions. So we know that mental health knowledge is useful to us at work. Recognizing symptoms of mental health challenges and learning how to offer and provide initial help benefits ourselves and all whom we interact with.
Noticing is the key. Personality changes to notice are when one's behavior doesn't fit their values. There is a change in energy, or they just seem different than you have known them. Concerning characteristics may be reactivity, appearing sad, overly cautious or fearful, sleep issues, either too much or too little, nightmares, oversensitivity to comments, and irritability. A person uncharacteristically wanting to be left alone or being rejected by their peers is also an area of concern, as are general avoidance of people, events, and activities. Neglect of self-care can look like poor hygiene, unclean or unkempt clothing, not caring about appearance, and/or an extreme change in eating. Risky behavior could be drug or alcohol use, high-risk activities not previously engaged in, such as sexual risk-taking, self-injury, stealing, and other defiant or criminal acts. Hopelessness often shows up with the following comments: I can't. I'm not worth it. Better off without me. It's my fault. I screw everything up. Why bother? Nothing's going to change. I wish I was somebody else. Physical complaints can be dizziness, headaches, upset stomach, nausea, rapid heart rate, muscle aches and pains, chest pain, sweating, breathlessness, and problems sleeping. Decreased concentration can look like difficulty following a lesson or a conversation. Trouble focusing can appear as constant moving, interrupting, being distracted, or swaying from the topic of discussion. Asking a lot of questions and appearing unsure of oneself can be demanding of the teacher's time. Please note that signs and symptoms can show up differently with different developmental levels. For instance, anxiety with young children often shows up with stomach aches, whereas anxiety with a teen may look like avoidance. Often these students may be viewed as unmotivated, lazy, unfriendly, not interested in succeeding, or obstinate. Adults may be heard saying, he needs to experience the consequences, or if he needs help, he needs to speak up. Youths who do better in the afternoon may not be getting enough sleep, or may be experiencing stress at home. Youths who begin to feel differently may be embarrassed and isolate themselves. Peers will also pull away if they feel uncomfortable or view their friend as acting weird or unfriendly.
So what can we do? Here are some examples of statements to say when you approach. I'm noticing that you seem to be tired a lot. Can we talk? I'm a little worried about you. Or, I'm concerned. I want to help. Respecting the person's feelings and experiences, even when you disagree or don't understand them, is critical. How you speak and act shows the person the respect and acceptance. Youth recognize when people are not genuine. Simple actions such as gentle eye contact, leaning in, and a neutral expression show good listening. I understand that you are having a difficult time is different than saying, I understand. Empathy is the ability to imagine having those same feelings and experience. Don't interrupt. Allow silences. Expect difficulty with communication. Expect that most youth may feel uncomfortable and may be hesitant to talk. Kindness counts, always. If you suspect mental health problems with a student, consult with the student's other teachers and with the school counselors or mental health support staff. Remember to respect the student's confidentiality, only sharing with those who should be involved. Use I statements to start a conversation with the student, such as, I have noticed that you are talking less in class and not eating lunch with your friends. Or, I feel concerned because you've not been acting like yourself recently. Keep your opinions and judgments about the student or situation to yourself. Listen for more than the content of what the student says. Also, pay attention to how he or she says it. A person's words are a small percentage of the total communication. Trust your gut. Following up is always a message to the student that you care. If you are a counselor or a mental health worker, speak with the student and listen carefully. Assess the student for suicide risk. Contact parents if needed and appropriate to share your concerns. Provide parents with outside referrals if appropriate. Follow up with the student and family. Good self-care is the one strategy we can employ to guarantee lasting energy and optimism. Confide in both personal and professional supports. Make time to be listened to. And share your triumphs as well as your concerns. We know so much more about the connection between the care of our bodies and the state of our minds. Good nutrition, adequate sleep, and regular exercise not only contribute to a long life, but to a happy and optimistic life. And did you notice it says exercise happily? That means do something that fits for you and brings you joy and possibly relaxation.
As mentioned earlier in the introduction, this presentation is just a snapshot of mental health education. Certainly not all there is to know about helping our students, our colleagues, our family members, our friends, and neighbors with any mental health challenges. You may be thinking, I'm only one person. What can I possibly do? Or, I am not a counselor or a mental health professional. Each of you really need to know that noticing early and intervening with care and concern can be the catalyst that prevents school disruption and multiple future challenges. Opportunities exist to learn more about mental health. Mental Health First Aid is an 8-hour course providing you with the information to assist an adult who may be developing a mental health condition or is in a crisis. Youth Mental Health First Aid focuses on the information needed to understand and assist adolescents who are experiencing mental health challenges. Listed are resources that can provide additional information. Please take a moment to note those of interest. Our county mental health departments are available to identify local resources. Thank you for your time and attention to this very important topic. Have a wonderful day.